Hey guys, what's going on? BMcG here, and today we have April's update to the tier list. The two new champs this month are Shocker and Sandman, and then we also have a buff to SpiderMan Classic. So, if you guys watch these videos monthly, you guys will notice I did make a change to the layout. I made it more condensed, shrunk it together. This makes it easier for me to fit on my screen when I'm doing my voiceover. I could just have the window open in my streaming app, and then I could just record the video. And that also allows me to click so you guys can see my mouse as I'm talking. I can compare things and select things, so it's not like you guys are guessing what I'm talking about. But I try to take all your guys' considerations when giving feedback about how it looks, how to better the format. But I think we have it in a good spot currently. So if you guys have any suggestions on how to improve it, make it look better, let me know. But I feel like it looks pretty decent right now. I'm pretty happy with it, and I don't think I'm going to make another change. But next month I'll think of some cool idea and do something. But without further ado, we're going to start with the first champ that came out this month, which is Shocker. And he comes to the contest with some pretty cool abilities. And we are going to pull up Aunt May this time since I have everything set up nicely. On my tier list, I gave him the icon for the SIG 60. So if we go here, put it at SIG 0, we can scroll down, look at his signature ability. And this is the flat value right here where my mouse is at. This does not scale with SIG, but the second part scales with SIG. So I really think you want this guy to be SIG 60 or higher to consider using him pretty frequently in Battlegrounds. The reason for that is the way he works is he gains these Vibro Shock charges. He gains them when throwing special ones. So at the end of this attack, he gains 25 Vibro Shock charges. And these charges are important because when you charge your heavy attack, you consume them and turn them into attack rating on the final hit of the heavy attack. It's a really hefty benefit. It's 4,000 attack rating per Vibro Shock charge. So his loop is essentially special 1, special 1, special 2, and that's at SIG 200. So your special ones, your two special ones cost essentially 1 bar of power. You get to your special 2, and then that will passively stun the opponent. And then you could charge your heavy attack while they're passively stunned, and then just deal a massive amount of damage. But the reason I say SIG 60 is because if you go to SIG 60 here, you guys will see that's about 60% less power. So it's not like an insane amount that you're saving. Your first special one essentially costs 40% power. So you could do another combo, get to another one, and then get to your special 2. But ideally in Battlegrounds, if you have this guy at rank 3 or rank 4, I think you might be able to close most fights doing just special 1 into special 2. So just having him at like 660, I think, will be enough to keep him fast enough in Battlegrounds. The only difference is going to be like a combo, maybe 7 something hits, maybe a little bit more than a combo to get to the special 2. So I think he should be fine at SIG 60, but if you want him to be as fast as possible, obviously you want SIG 200. So, he's one of those champs that is just like, SIG 60 is nice. He's fine without the dupe. Like, you can still use him. He's just not going to be as fast. So it's where you want the dupe, but don't need the dupe, which is a cool thing. He's also got immunity to shock and concussion debuffs, which is really cool in my opinion. First champ, just flat out immune to concussion debuffs. And then he reduces the duration of incoming stuns by 50%. And if you pair that with the Limber Mastery, you're pretty much stun immune. You're not immune to stuns, but if they don't have increased stun duration, he will pretty much shrug off the stun as soon as he's stunned. So pretty cool. It's his main defensive threat. And then he also goes unblockable on dash attacks when he has a certain amount of Vibro Shock charges, but that's about it. He also can't land critical hits, but all his attacks have armor penetration equal to his crit rating, which is cool. And then he also gets rid of the Limber Mastery, which I think is really sweet. So that's pretty much Shocker in a nutshell. I don't think he's going to be a great defender. He's going to be a really good attacker. His stats are pretty decent. They're just, they're normal. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Shocker. As to where I placed him in the tier list, he's in the top 15. I have him 13th right now. Pretty much from Nebula to Hulkbuster is tied. If you guys haven't caught on, the color schemes is this color from here to here You can pretty much use these champs interchangeably. If they're higher up, that means they're better in more places, more usable in more places, but that's pretty much how I try to do this. The game's too complex to have, you know, champs in one area and champs in the other. I try to make it as fluid as possible because, like, you know, Nebula could be good on one fight, but if they're shock immune, then you know, Rocket could be better. So that's just kind of how I view it, but that's where I have him right now. I feel like good benchmarks are like he's close to Guardian, he's going to perform similar to him in Battlegrounds, and you know, he's a little bit better than Rocket. So that's how I view it. Next up we have Sandman, and this guy is actually pretty cool. He's not out yet. I don't know if he'll be out by the time this video comes out, but he's pretty cool. I have him right now needing max sig. I don't know how true that's going to be in the future, but while he's unstable, Sandman gains an indefinite Fury passive granting really large amount of attack, and then his heavy proficiency passives grant additional attack rating. So it's just going to give him more damage. Obviously you don't need him to be awakened if you want to use him for his utility. His utility's fine unawakened. It just gives him more damage. So as for like a sweet spot, that's a flat curve if I've ever seen one. That's just a flat straight line. So the more SIGs the better. I actually like the way his SIG scales. I think it's fine. Stats, stats are decent, but let's get to more of his abilities. He's immune to bleed, poison, and shock, which is really huge actually, is for having more science champs immune to these effects. At least in Alliance War, there's a lot of hazard shift lanes, and he's immune to bleed and shock, so he works for the Node 26 as well as Path 9 and Section 2. His personal debuffs can be inflicted through the block. They're paused during special attacks, expire one at a time every second, which I think is a really cool utility there. And then when he knocks down the opponent with a heavy attack, he grants an indefinite heavy proficiency, increasing attack rating by X amount during heavy attacks, max attacks 10. So that's a really solid way to make his heavies deal more damage. And then he has these resistance up passives. Every time he strikes the opponent with a light, medium, or light or medium, he gains the charges. And then striking Sandman with a block, that's just offensive. We don't really care about his defense. Because we're talking about how he performs as an attacker. I don't think he's going to be a great defender. You just need an unstoppable counter. But when he gains 20 resistance ups, he becomes unstable. And then when he's unstable, he gains an indefinite unstoppable passive. And then he also inflicts 10 suppression debuffs at 5% potency. So you gain these resistance ups by doing lights and mediums. And then I also thought you gain them when using your special attacks. Yeah, so he does. On activation, Sandman gains 1 resistance up, and then 1 for each hit. And then the special 2 gains 2, and then 1 for each hit. So yeah, pretty much the way you want to play him is use whichever special you need, and then you'll go unstable, and then your heavy attacks while unstable will root the opponent. So you just spam heavy attacks, and it's a really cool loop. It's hard to explain just talking about it, but essentially you use your special 1 or special 2 depending on the situation. Special 1 place is Petrify, which is really useful against like Dr. Doom, SpiderMan to reverse the regen, stuff like that. And then the special 2 has Decelerate, so that's going to be really useful for like Rintra. And yeah, so that's kind of how you want to play him. The special 3 gives him it's like his main damage attack, but in Battlegrounds you're not going to want to use your special 3 too much. He's kind of like Titania. If I don't think his special 3 is as fast, but yeah, he's pretty pretty good with the special 3. His damage is great with special 3, but I don't know if you need it, especially for stuff like Absorbing Man. You just spam special 1, reverse the regen. But you essentially build up 20 resistance passives, you go unstable, and then you just use your heavy attack, and then you just spam heavy attacks. They'll be rooted, so they'll try to throw their heavy attacks, and you can pretty much just keep spamming those. So that was pretty long-winded. He's a lot easier to understand if you watch like the deep dive, so I'll link that in the pinned comment below. But that's pretty much the gist of Sandman. He's really solid in my opinion. He's going to be useful just due to his immunities, and then his utility off his special attacks is really cool. I don't know, I kind of like the guy. I think he's going to be cool. So back to the tier list, we have him in the top 20. And again, this is not a shot at Sandman being where he's at. It's just like, look at the rest of the class. Like, science is probably the most stacked class in the game. If you guys can see the top tier icon here, science, for me, in my opinion, has the most top tier champs in the game. You can even make an argument for I-Bomb, Void, Thing, Spider-Ham, Joe Fixit, Red Hulk, all to be top tier in the scenarios where they're great. And I think Sandman's going to fit that case as well. So that's just kind of how I feel about Sandman. I think he's going to be really good. I don't think he's going to be a great defender. Neither is Shocker. So we'll see how things go when he's more available to everybody else. But I think for now, this is a safe spot to place him. But next up, we have Spider-Man Classic. And this guy's buff is actually... how do you say it? You guys hate it. And I love it, which I think is really funny. But looking at his base stats are fine. He still has a really high crit rate. It's a 33% crit rate. It's in the 88th percentile. So it's a really strong crit rate. But yeah, his signature ability, he does need dupe, so I will actually add that. I'll add that as we're going through this tier list. Well, Aunt May is wrong right now with the webbing, but your first special one places Debilitate and Decelerate, just one of them, and then your second special one will place the Suppression. But if you have him awakened, 4+ webbing, so 2 special ones is 4 webbing. The debuffs from the webbing can stack up to 2 times. It's not 3 times. I don't know why it says 3. It's only 2. And that makes the suppression really strong. It makes the decelerate 100% potency, and the debilitate, I'm not sure how that stacks. I'm not sure if it's additive or multiplicative. I think that's how you say it. But it's a really solid, debilitate at that point. You can increase the duration of your parry stuns as well as your special 2 stun. All your debuffs that you place, you increase the duration of. And it's not limited to personal debuffs, it's all debuffs. So this ability you get just from awakening him. You basically get the double up on the utility debuffs from your webbing, which I think you absolutely need. That's Sig 20. But we're going to look at Sig 60, which gives him a 16% chance to evade all attacks. It does not happen while blocking, or it doesn't happen while blocking unless the attack is unblockable. I think that's a solid spot. I think this is the icon we're going to give him. I don't think he needs max Sig. He's obviously one of those characters who gets better with max Sig. There's a lot of champs in the game who get better with max Sig. But, Sig 60 is serviceable. Your debuffs, your taunts just flat out are increased by almost 1.5 seconds. But don't forget that you have Debilitate, 2 special ones, you're already increasing the taunts. The difference you get from Sig 60 to Sig 200, or Sig 200 might not be that noticeable. The really important part, though, with Sig 200 is increasing the potency of the taunts. That reduces the attack rating more and makes Spider-Man more tanky. So if you increase the potency of the taunts by 2%, go down and look at this. These reduce attack rating by 1%. So if you increase them, it's increasing quite a bit. You stack these up quite a bit, and yeah. But, realistically, this dude only needs Sig 60 in my opinion. I don't think he needs any more. I don't think he needs any less. You could play him at, Sig 20 and he will be fine. He'll be serviceable for all the utility you need, but the damage will lack. It's another one of those, dupes where it's very similar to Overseer, because Overseer unlocks the gamma power when preventing something via immunity or ability accuracy, and that's similar to this. You get the extra little bit of abilities, but then you also get the extra damage, which is what this kind of part is. So But the general loop with Spider-Man is either special 1 into special 2, or if you need the utility, double special 1 into special 2. And he has the strongest taunt in the game, to my knowledge. It's very similar to like She-Hulk. Her taunt can get to the point where the opponent will have like a 100% chance, or not 100% chance, they're 100% more likely to throw a special attack. And I'm pretty sure he works the same way. Might be wrong. I know the Spotlight said 2 taunts doesn't make the opponent more likely to throw a special attack, because you can't become more likely to do something if you're already likely to do it. But the way to think of it, and it's like the AI is kind of weird at this point, but there are frames where the opponent thinks they can hit you with a special attack. That's how you bait special attacks. So if you leave yourself open and you dex a lot, the opponent can think, hey, there's this time right there I can hit you, and they try. And normally they just have a normal percent chance to throw it, but Spider-Man makes them 70% more likely to throw it with 1 taunt. And if you stack it more, they're going to be more likely to throw it. At least in my testing, this is how it's been. If you leave yourself open, they will throw the special attack. You don't have to dance around and bait. You can play against Dormammu and never trigger Dex. You can play against Mojo, never trigger Dex. So he's really good in that regard, to where if you leave yourself open, they will throw special attacks. He has a lot of control over the fight with the taunt. I genuinely think it's probably one of the best taunts in the game. And a lot of you guys saying, well, that's not really cool utility. I don't know what to tell you. He also has a really strong suppression. The webbing, it says 15%, so that stacks. I'm pretty sure it goes to 30% potency. And then the special 2, where is it at? I think the stuns, where's it at? Yeah, the duration of stun debuffs on non-skill opponents cannot be reduced, and while the opponent is stunned, their ability power rate is reduced by 50%. So not only is he reducing combat power rate by 30%, he's reducing ability power rate by 50% when they're stunned, which is really strong utility. I believe that translates to Mystic Dispersion when attacking a parry stunned opponent, which is again a really strong ability. You're taking half of what they gain from Mystic Dispersion, just removing it. And then he's also bypassing Limber, which is just amazing. He's doing it against non-skill champions, which I think is pretty cool. So like, he's not going to be held back in Battlegrounds due to masteries. Like, you could just go to town with this guy. I've had success with him in Alliance War so far. I've used him twice. I've used him in Battlegrounds a bit, had success with him there. He's going to be great for next season, I think. So yeah, I really, really like where this buff landed up. And I think he's going to be another champ like Overseer, where people are like, yeah, he's mid. And then over time, they're going to be like, yeah, this dude's kind of a beast. He's got a lot of utility. His kit's very simple, but there's beauty and simplicity. And I think he's going to be a really solid champ to have going forward. I don't know if you're going to want to, let's say throw 200 Sig Stones into your 6-star. But if you get this guy as your first 7-star and you dupe him somehow pretty quickly, this dude can carry a lot of weight, because you're essentially getting a free 6-star rank 4 at Sig 20, and he's going to be pretty solid. So, yeah, right now we've got him above iHulk. I essentially have Red Hulk, OG Hulk, Spidey Classic, iHulk, all kind of tied. Red Hulk a peg higher because he's just a little bit more easier to use. His immunities are great. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking he's going to land. I don't think he's going to be much higher, but him being in the top 25 of the science class does not say much at all. If you look at Jessica Jones the Scorpion from this range right here, this is probably the strongest set of 25 champions, the top 25. Science has the strongest. It's just wild. Science class is just nuts. So that's pretty much it on Spider-Man. Let's talk about some promotions and demotions. I don't know if there are any promotions to talk about in the science class. I'm just scanning it a little bit. I move iHulk down because this dude's pretty much just damage and regen and immortality. And the game's a little bit more complex than that. OG Hulk came out with his buff. He's a stun looping machine. He's just essentially he feels safer than I-Hulk, and he's easier to use. So for that reason alone, he's above. And then Spider-Man Classic just has more utility than him, in my opinion. He's easier to use as well, so that puts him above him. I even want to put Ant-Man above him, but I'm not going to do that to you guys because you guys can call me crazy. Skill class, Valkyrie got promoted. I think this is long overdue. She is genuinely insane. There's so much you could bypass just by hitting the opponent's block to do your damage and never hitting them, just normally. So that alone is amazing utility. Her damage is amazing. She's fast in Battlegrounds. She's just a really solid champion. Her signature ability is amazing. It's one of the best ones in the game. She's just nuts. If you have Valkyrie, rank her up. She's the best skill champ who's not like broken. Nick Fury and Kingpin are like super broken in my opinion because they're just insanely strong. She's insanely strong, but kind of more balanced, so to say. Next up, Zemo got promoted again. So these two essentially got promoted above Shang-Chi and Mole Man. And Zemo, I'm very biased towards Zemo, and the Karate Mike emoji is why. Because Mike uses this guy in war all the time, and he takes so many things that I have no idea how he does. I actually am going to link something here from Karate Mike. I might make a playlist and throw all the videos he's made on Zemo in there, just so you guys can reference and see what I'm talking about. So by the time you see this, there will be a link in here. And yeah, he's just nuts. If you have the knowledge to exploit his abilities and use them to your advantage, he is going to carry you so far. He's one of the strongest champs released ever. And even if Root somehow gets touched, because right now the opponent they're not supposed to throw a special 3 while rooted. If they change that to where they don't throw special 1s and special 2s, but do throw a special 3, Zemo will still cook, and he'll still be amazing. But I'm not saying that's what's happening. It's just all speculation on my end, because it is a very broken and strong ability. Next up, we have Kate Bishop. I promoted her. She was like down here last time, but I put her up here. Her damage is just nuts. She's amazing in Battlegrounds. She's like gonna be 40-second champ. It's like a 40-second fight when you use her. She's just nuts. She does fall off if you need her utility a little bit more, because then you're getting the tranquilize up, and then then you start dealing damage. But just out of the gate, she's a great miss counter. Her cold snap damage is amazing, and she also has a really solid evade counter through the cold snap. So I love the way she was designed. I think she's great. I think she's really good right there in the top 10 skill spot. Next up in the mutant class, we have absolutely no changes. The mutant class for me is very boring currently. They're a class about team building, and the current designscape of the game, or not designscape, like the meta for what you want to use are like champs who are good by themselves or only need one synergy for war. So that's kind of how I see it with the mutant class. Like Apocalypse, best mutant in the game. There's no debating that in my opinion. He just does so much, but he's like one of the slowest attackers you can use in Battlegrounds. So it's interesting. And then Omega Red, amazing. He's great. He does so much in Alliance War for me as a planner, and that translates to other content like story content, EQ. It's just he really relies on Sabretooth, so he's not going to be insanely fast in Battlegrounds. Kitty Pryde is great in Battlegrounds, War, EQ, and everything. She's great. Archangel's great, Magneto's great, Bishop's great. So I don't know. There's just a lot of like good mutants who like really want some synergies, and it kind of bums me out. But next up we have the tech class. Right now I have Future Ant-Man as the number 3 tech champ in the game. Technically tied with Infamous Iron Man. I think these two are tied for what they do, and then Warlock is just right under. But yeah, we promoted Future Ant-Man. If you guys have any questions on why, let me know in the comments. I'll explain to you, or you can watch some of these videos in the playlist that I have linked here. I have a showcase. I have some stuff of him in Battlegrounds. I have some stuff of him in War. His power control is just some of the best in the game. If they have no increased combat power rate, no increased ability power rate, you can prevent them from throwing a single special attack in the whole fight. It's bonkers utility in my opinion. It's wild. So yeah, that's it for the tech class. I think no one else has gotten any adjustments. Cosmic class is the same. There's been no adjustments as well. The Mystic class, 2 adjustments. I buffed up Spidey Supreme and America Chavez just a little bit. They're still in the same tier, which is the Great tier, but I think they're generally more useful than the champs that were above them before. Spidey Supreme, you guys might be questioning why he's above some of these champs, you know, listed below him. I plan to get some more stuff out on him. He is one of those champs, kind of like Zemo. I'm not saying he's as good as Zemo, don't take it that way, but he has like abilities that he has in his kit that, like, if you know how to manipulate it, it's way more powerful than you could think. And I think he's going to age insanely well with how much utility he has. He is like a non-Mystic champ to where he can't really like buff control the opponent, but he counters so many champs super well. Cosmic champs, Mystic champs, he's just really, really, really solid. And then America Chavez, she's been super useful this Alliance War season, but I think she's going to be insanely useful outside of that. She's going to be super fast in Battlegrounds, really strong defender. She's still really annoying. She hits even harder after her buff if you let her build her dimensions up. So I think that's it for the update, the April update to this tier list. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, let me know in the comments below. And remember, it's just my opinion. We all have one. So if you guys disagree with it, that's fine. Just be nice and let me know. Be civil. But, you know, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm sorry it was long, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about some things. And, yeah, I think, you know, 27 minutes is a decent length for this video. So I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, hit like, sub if you're new. If you already subbed, you know I love you. See you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.